Hello everybody, today we're going to be going over a Summoner Druid build that I have been experimenting with. I'm going to be experimenting with a lot of different variants, but this is the one I've been doing currently that's turned out pretty decent. So let's go ahead and jump into the items. So, Aspect of Disobedience, gain armor, solid defensive legendary. It's just a stacking bumps. It's going to give you armor up to 50%. Now this is a really high rolled one, but it ranges from 25 to 50%. Then we have Aspect of Might. Basic skills grant 20% damage reduction. This is just to give you more defense. Gloves, you have Bestial Rampage. Now what this is going to do is give your companions the benefit of, your wolf companions the benefit of Bestial Rampage, so they have 20% more attack speed and 20% increased damage. Now, on the pants, we're going to do Earthen Bulwark. So what this is going to do is it's going to increase the duration of Earthen Bulwark by 6 seconds, and whenever you kill something, it's going to replenish that active barrier. So pretty solid. And then here we have, when you have Fortify, your Earth skills gain 2 ranks. You're going to be fortified quite a lot, so this is pretty good, especially since we're running Earthen Bulwark in it, and we're also going to be running Landslide, and I'll be explaining why we're running Landslide in a second. Then we have Cannibal's Chopper of the Alpha. Your wolf companions are now werewolf companions, and they deal 190% additional damage and can spread rabies. This is kind of the main legendary of this one, turns them into werewolves. Then we have your core skills deal up to 30% increased damage based on your amount of Fortify. Then we have core skills deal an additional 6.5% damage for each active companion. And we have gain 1 additional companion in addition. Your companion skills deal 12% bonus damage. Now, I went and I decided to buff the landslide damage a little bit just to have a little bit of supplemental damage whenever these are on cooldown. However, you can replace this with Aspect of the Edge. I believe it's called Aspect of the Edge Master. And what that one's going to do is it makes your skills do a certain amount of damage depending on how much spirit you have when you activate them. And that actually will affect the werewolves, whereas this one will not. Alright, and with this one, since core skills deal an additional 6.5% damage to each active companion, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 companions. So quite a bit of stacking damage. The only downside to this build is a lot of the multipliers are additive. And I don't want to bog you down with the math, but additive is not good because it pretty much only multiplies the base damage. Is kind of the best way to look at it. So it doesn't it doesn't multiply like, for example, this would to a core skill. So unfortunate, but that's okay. And then we have gain 1 additional companion. In addition, your companion skills deal 12% bonus damage. We do that so we can get the 3rd wolf. It also gives us another raven. So quite a bit of decent synergy here with this. So moving on into the skills, we have Storm Strike, Enhanced Storm Strike, Fierce Storm Strike gives us vulnerable and immobilize. We have Landslide, Enhanced Landslide, Primal Landslide. The reason why we do this is because we have Poison Creeper, and when we use Poison Creeper, it's going to give us a Terra Mote, which is going to make Landslide guaranteed crit. The reason why we need guaranteed crits is because we are going to be running Pack Leader. Critical strikes have up to a 20% chance to reset the cooldowns of your companion skills. So, you know, we need to be critting a lot in order to proc this, in order to reset our companion skills, and to be able to keep kind of spamming those. Otherwise, other boons, I'm running reduced damage from elites. I'm going increased crit chance and critical strike damage, and then I am going. Ooh, that's actually that's fine. Dealing lightning damage has a chance to just demit something. It's just a little bit of extra damage. There's not really a whole lot of good here because we're not even running an ultimate skill. You could do this. Every 20th kill will cause your next earth skill to overpower. That would benefit your landslide, but even then that's not really all that great. This just got like hard nerfed today, so unfortunate, but it happens. Anyway, moving on, taking Heart of the Wild, Wild Impulses to buff the damage. This to buff your crit, gives you 6% crit against close enemies. Again, just thinking, alright, we need a crit. Earthen Bulwark for defense. It gives you unstoppable and it gives you a barrier. The reason why unstoppable is important is because if you're going with all the affixes that get added to the dungeon, you'll run into the cold affix a lot, and it's really nice to have something that'll break you out of that. Alright, so then we have Wolf Companions, obviously maxed out, Enhanced Wolf, Brutal Wolf Pack. So when you critically strike, they gain attack speed. They deal 20% increased damage to immobilize, stunned, slowed, or poisoned enemies. And then Poison Creeper, obviously max that bad boy out. Immobilized duration is increased by 1. And then you get 20% crit chance against enemies strangled by Poison Creeper. So that's just to make it, again, so we can try to get resets. Max out the passive. Your companion skills deal 30% bonus damage. And then we maxed out Ravens. So take Enhanced Ravens and Brutal Ravens. Ravens really aren't all that great. However, whenever you stack all three of these on top of each other, or you Poison Creeper into Ravens, it actually does do a decent bit of damage. Coming down here, we're taking Crushing Earth and Stone Guard. This is just a damage buff for your landslide. Then we're going to take Neurotoxin and Envenom. This is another this is critical strike damage buff to things that are poisoned, and your werewolves spread rabies. So, yeah, pretty solid. A lot of things will be poisoned most of the time. Come down here. We don't take any ults. We are taking some points into the this little resonance tree here. Put 1 point into Defiance, 3 points into Natural Disaster, and 3 points into Resonance. So now whenever we Storm Strike and then we landslide, we just deal more damage. And then we are taking Ursine's Strength. And the reason why is because while healthy deal 30% increased damage, this actually does affect your wolves. If you look here, you see 10,000 damage. Take it out, put it somewhere else, and now it's 7,900 damage. So it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot of damage. So yeah. So now let's go ahead and hop on into a dungeon to see how it works. Alrighty, so a quick note about Paragon. So this build does scale pretty well with Paragon. So this glyph right here, it increases the damage by 80% of the passive portion, and then increases the damage by 37%. Just the overall companion skill damage, so pretty solid. You need it to be rank 15 in order to get that, because you need that radius increase to activate that secondary passive. But you can see that there is just a ton of power in the Paragon for this. However, it does kind of fall off eventually. There's about 3, I think, that'll actually benefit this. You have Heightened Malice, and then you have the Ancestral Guidance. So you do have, 2 Paragon boards that you can use that are going to benefit this. Then after that, it's not amazing, but it's not terrible. It's just there's not really a whole lot of damage increase for companions. You're going to see that the main thing you're going to be building after you get those 2 legendary nodes is, I would say, go for the glyphs. So things like increased damage while fortify, because you do have access to fortify with the summoner build and stuff like that. So yeah, but yeah, let's go ahead and get on into the dungeon. Alright, so to play this build, pretty simple. Just press your companion skills and then use Storm Strike and your Vine Creeper to stack up those Terremote stacks. You can kind of see every time I immobilize something, you can see that landslide picture over my bar. That means you have a Terremote stack. That means the next landslide you do is going to be a guaranteed crit. So you want to make sure that you have those stacks before you cast landslide, because there's really no reason to cast a regular landslide, I would say. It's probably better to just make sure you cast them when you're crit, because the idea why you want the crit is to proc that Animal Companion boon. We gotta be thinking about that. So as we continue, oh, yep, okay. So not too bad. So you want to make sure that whenever you use Ravens, that you immobilize the enemies into them with the Vine Creeper. You kind of want to use both of those at the same time. Otherwise, what will end up happening is they'll just run and move out of your Ravens. The Ravens is it's much harder to land than it is the Creeper, because the Creeper's a burst with a dot. So, unfortunately, but that's okay. That's a-okay. Yep. Pretty simple stuff here. Yeah, I did try to make this build as, I was trying to make this build as strong as possible, but unfortunately, while this is going to clear tier 3, fairly easily, as you can see, it's going to clear, God, I think I was able to do up to a 10. just with like this base build, I think it'll fall off towards the higher tiers because I just don't think it's going to have the damage to do it. I think this will kind of be a lower end, maybe like mid-tier build after everything's said and done with glyphs. They just have way too many additive multipliers instead of multiplicative. If you're not familiar with that, I don't want to bore you too much, but pretty much it just means that your multiplier just does the base damage. It doesn't do the it doesn't multiply all the damage. It just multiplies the base damage and then adds that to the base damage, as opposed to if it's multiplicative, then it's like it's gonna actually multiply everything. So that's how you see like the crazy numbers like pulverize and stuff like that on those builds. It's because all those multipliers are actually multiplicative. Well, not all of them, I think, but I think most of them are. So that's kind of weird that Blizzard would balance it like that, but hey, what it is what it is. Yeah, pretty fun. Also, you got to be careful with the wolves here because if you don't land all three, it's not going to do the full damage. And also watch out for CC because they are spaghetti code. For some reason, you'll use them, and if they get frozen midair, they'll just get stuck. I think it happens coming up here. When I get to this group of elites, they're going to get, see, right there, and then they're just going to sit there. Yeah, nice. Good one. Still pretty fun, and it's very satisfying when you do hit all three, especially on bosses. This does have pretty decent single target damage, but you'll see it bosses pretty decent. And the bossing is actually probably going to be the strongest point. I think in higher tiers it'll be, kind of going into a shred variant might be pretty solid, but I was just focused on trying to make a summoner build that used all the companions just mainly because it's fun. So here we go. Yep. You can see this is on 2x speed, but it's been like 5 seconds and it's almost dead already. So, a 10-15 second boss clear ain't bad. But anyway, that's it. Like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you next time.